Now, some Democrats are outraged today that I am supporting Rand Paul's filibuster of John Brennan to be the head of the CIA because he happens to be 100% right that we have a giant constitutional issue, that Eric Holder has said we can do drone strikes on U.S. citizens on U.S. soil without a trial. Now, if you are an actual progressive or a liberal, you would find that outrageous and clearly and obviously unconstitutional, as some of you have. If you don't care about principles and you're not actually a progressive or a liberal, you're just a Democrat and you like being on Team Democrat and you like wearing the blue outfits and with the big O and hope and change, you like the cutesy slogans, well, then you would be opposed to Rand Paul because you're not a principled person. You just go along with, in fact, you should have some pom-poms because your job is really a cheerleader. What does my dear leader Obama say? Yay! Kill U.S. citizens without a trial. Awesome. I don't find that to be awesome. I find it to be despicable. So I will go as far as saying I am really glad that Rand Paul, who I disagree with 90% of the time, has won that seat in Kentucky. Now, if a Democrat had won that seat, do you think they would have led a filibuster against President Obama's unconstitutional actions? You know the answer to that. Hell no. And as much as I disagree with Rand Paul on so many different issues, what he's doing here is monumentally important. So, without further ado, let's hear from Rand Paul.
The fact that the Obama administration has told a U.S. senator that there is a circumstance where the government could target and kill an American citizen on American soil without charge and without trial is a stark example of an imperial presidency. If there were an ounce of courage in this body, I would be joined by many other senators saying that they will not tolerate this, that we will come together today in bipartisan fashion and tell the president, tell any president, that no president will ever have the authority to kill Americans without a trial.
Damn straight. He's 100% right about that. As we are live on the air right now, he's in his 10th hour of his filibuster. And how many senators have joined him? 7 others, including only one Democrat, Ron White. Once again, missing in action are all those so-called progressive Democrats like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, etc. So now Rand Paul explains, where is President Obama of all people, but of 2007? Great point here.
I'm a Republican. I didn't vote or support the president either time. But I admired him, particularly in 2007 when he ran. I admired his ability to stand up and say, we won't torture people. That's not what America does. How does the president's mind work, though? The president that seems so honorable, seems so concerned with our rights, seems so concerned with the right not to have your phone be tapped, now says he's not concerned with whether you can be killed without a trial? Where is the Barack Obama of 2007?
Great question. Well, that Barack Obama no longer exists, if it ever existed. One possible theory is that he was lying all along and didn't care about the wiretapping. In fact, we know that he gave a pass to the big telecom companies. During the primaries against Hillary Clinton, he said, oh, I'm going to filibuster and I'm not going to let them get away with it. And then after the primaries were over, he said, I'm going to let them get away with it. Of course, he let the Bush administration get away with all their warrantless wiretapping. In fact, President Obama does warrantless wiretapping himself right now. His administration revels in it. The indefinite detentions, well, he just signed the National Defense Authorization Act, which allows for the indefinite detention of U.S. citizens by the military, let alone non-U.S. citizens. And now he is out Cheney, and he says, I can execute U.S. citizens on U.S. soil. Due process be damned. What happened to Obama of 2007? Was he a liar, or did he somehow change? I doubt we'll get an answer from the president on that either. Doesn't seem very open, although, of course, he is running the most transparent administration in history. Laugh along with me. One more great quote from Rand Paul.
Now, when the president says he doesn't intend to do so, you really have to think that through. He wants us to remember and think good of him because he says, I don't intend to do so. Well, it's not enough. I mean, would you tolerate a Republican who stood up and said, well, I like the First Amendment. I'm quite fond of the First Amendment. And I don't intend to break the First Amendment, but I might. Would conservatives tolerate someone who said, I like the Second Amendment? I think it's important and I'm for gun ownership and I don't intend to violate the Second Amendment, but I might. Would we tolerate that he doesn't intend to do so as a standard?
Now, I've been fighting online all day on this issue, and some Democrats chime in and go, well, you don't have a single case of the president executing a U.S. citizen on U.S. soil yet. He just has the authority to do so. Apparently, you fundamentally misunderstand our process and our form of government. You don't just give the president the right to do that and then hope he doesn't use it. Well, why don't we just have a king instead and give him all of those rights? In fact, the Magna Carta was designed to make sure the king didn't have those specific rights. We're going back now in history past the Magna Carta. This is one of the foundations of Western democracy. And the Obama administration is apparently gleefully tearing it down. And any progressive or liberal that supports them doesn't understand what it means to be a progressive or liberal at all. So this is something that should be cross-partisan. Libertarians like Rand Paul, conservatives who care about the Constitution, and liberals, we should all agree on this. But since Bush did it and Obama did it, unfortunately, most of the country agrees, the Constitution be damned, because our team leaders told us it was okay. I love that Rand Paul says it is not okay.